You're watching Maine Biz Sunday, Maine's business news source.
Last spring, while you were hunkered down trying to figure out how to keep your business alive during one of the sharpest economic downturns in our lifetime, the Maine State Legislature was busy in Augusta too, busy passing a bunch of new laws. Now, I'm sure you heard about the high-profile legislation such as tax reform, the Same-Sex Marriage Act, and the budget bill, etc., but you may not have noticed that a number of significant labor law bills were also quietly passed last session that have now become effective and will be impacting your business starting this month. But don't panic. We've invited Anne-Marie Storey back to the program to walk us through the major labor law changes we need to pay attention to. Anne-Marie is a partner with the Bangor-based Rudman & Winchell law firm. Her practice concentrates on employment law. Welcome back, Anne-Marie.
Thank you very much.
You know, I was getting ready for this show, and we've had you here before, and I was thinking, it reminds me of something having here. It reminds me of me having to go to the dentist, and I hate to say that. It's something I have to do. I like my dentist. I always feel better once I've done it, you know, because it's important, but it's kind of painful, and you dread it. But and people paying attention to labor law is one of those things, and it's something we need to do, especially when they get fast and and they become effective. So.
I live in a world where people don't want to hear from me.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to cover a bunch here today. We're going to try to cover a couple, 3 or 4 of them on the show, but we're also going to do an extended period on the internet where we can share some more information with our viewers.
All right.
You gave me some that came up this last session that we're going to talk about. Smoking in the workplace, breastfeeding in the workplace, some new laws about that, disclosing wage information, some changes to the Maine Severance Pay Law, changes to the Maine Human Rights Act, and also some Workers' Comp Act changes too. So we're going to start right with smoking in the workplace. An act to strengthen the workplace smoking laws and other laws governing smoking. The changes prohibit smoking in all indoor space, prohibit smoking outdoors except in designated smoking areas, and there are some definitional changes too. It defines what a designated smoking area is, and then you'll tell us what that is, and also defines the business facility now also. So tell us what we need to know about that and what we need to watch out for.
Right. This is a pretty significant change that becomes effective on September 12th, so employers need to know and change policies to the extent they need to do that. The old law allowed an employer to prohibit smoking in the entire facility, but also allowed them to have designated smoking areas if they chose to do that. Inside?
Okay.
The new law prohibits smoking indoors in any fashion, no more. It also allows smoking outdoors, but not in certain areas. Mm-hmm. And those new designated areas are defined as anything within 20 feet from entryways, vents, or doorways. Mm-hmm. So if an employer is going to allow smoking outside the facility, they need to make sure that that designated area is clearly marked beyond that 20-foot.
What if I don't have 20 feet? What if I have a small business area and I don't have that? Where do my employees go?
Well, if there's public property around the building, if there's a sidewalk or something,
they would have to leave.
They would have to go there. Or you can choose to prohibit smoking at all on your property. You can't prohibit an employee from smoking, when they're not during work time and they're not on your property.
Okay.
And employers should also be aware that there is a law prohibiting discrimination against people who choose to smoke on their own time.
Okay. Okay. And the business facility now includes residential facilities, nursing homes, and hospitals. Is that new? Or?
Yeah, that is new. And I think the intent of that is to say that if there's a personal residence that serves also as a workplace, that these laws apply when an employee is present and working in that personal residence, but not otherwise.
Let's move on. Next one, an act to facilitate lactation in the workplace. This is new?
This is completely new.
Completely new?
Yep.
Okay. This is about breastfeeding in the workplace and primarily. Employers must provide adequate unpaid break time for that activity or permit an employee to use break time or meal time. The period is for up to 3 years following the child's birth, and must make reasonable efforts to provide a clean room or location with privacy other than a bathroom, and prohibits discrimination against employees who choose to express milk in the workplace. So tell us about that. This is new ground here.
It is new ground, and this also becomes effective as of September 12th, so employers should be aware of it, probably create a policy that is in line with it.
Does the law require a written policy?
It does not require you to have a written policy, but it's always a good idea to inform your employees of what your policy is, and make sure that you're complying with it, of course. Make sure your supervisors know about it so that they are allowing employees to take this time. And so the employee can use either paid time or meal time or an unpaid break time.
Okay.
And the words that are used in the new law are express breast milk, which we think means
help me with that.
Not with the child.
Okay.
So in other words, pumping or something like that. But it's not entirely clear.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether it means, you know, a caregiver could bring the child in and the mother could feed him or her right there.
Right, and if that's the case, do they require a private area to do that? Can they do it in the workplace? Is that clear?
Well, that's not clear to me, no, from the language.
That's why we have lawyers.
Yeah, well, I'm just making problems, basically.
Well, so this one does have some areas that will still need to be clarified.
It does, because it says provide reasonable effort for somebody to do it in a private place, but it doesn't say the employee has to do it in a private place.
Okay.
So an employee may choose to do it in the lunchroom.
Okay, interesting.
And the employer will have to deal with if there are complaints or issues.
This one's going to be interesting. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. An act to ensure fair pay. This amends current equal pay law. Employer must or may not permit an employee from disclosing their own wages, or they may not prohibit them from inquiring about another person's wages. However, the act does not create an obligation for the employer to disclose the wages. Is that correct?
That's how it can be read.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me what this one's about even, and why is this on, what was the genesis of this?
Okay, so we have the equal pay law that says that people who do similar comparable jobs have to be paid comparable wages regardless of gender. And so what this adds to that is that an employer can't stop an employee from disclosing his or her own wages, and can't stop an employee from inquiring about another employee's wages if the purpose of the inquiry or the disclosure is to make sure the employer is following the equal pay law.
Okay.
But what's not clear to me from this language is it also does say that it doesn't create an obligation to disclose wages. So the second part of the disclosure, which the part where it says you can't prohibit an employee from inquiring about another employee's wages, is the inquiry to the other employee or is the inquiry to the employer?
Okay, so the more...
It doesn't say.
Okay, so those gray areas will have to be worked out as well.
And the fact that it adds on the doesn't create an obligation to disclose wages seems to suggest that it means the inquiry is made to another employee, so that you couldn't stop that employee from disclosing if they wanted to.
Okay. We're going to stop there. We're going to take a break, but then we will be doing more of this on the website, so we can talk about more of these. We're going to talk about the severance pay and the workers' comp and some of the changes to the Maine Human Rights Act as well. Thanks. Anne Marie and I will continue the discussion of these and other important labor law changes in our extended afterthought segment that can be seen online at mainbiz.biz. Just click on the Maine Biz Sunday link. We'll be right back with workplace wellness expert Dr. David Honeycutt. Stay tuned.
Maine Biz Sunday is brought to you by Bangor Savings Bank, where you can enjoy free ATMs worldwide.